But unions are talking about industrial action because lifting the 2.5% cap on public sector pay to 3% represents a cut in real wages. The Perrottet government have created a further problem. The one-off $3,000 payment to permanent health workers for their work during the pandemic is commendable. But unions are saying, what about other frontline workers during the pandemic? Why pit some workers against others? After all, the New South Wales Police, often against their will, had to enforce absurd health orders. It was tough, doing things they didn't agree with. They won't get the payment. The New South Wales unions will argue that in the 2021 financial year, public sector wages were capped at 2.8% when inflation was 3.8%. In 2022-23, the cap will be 3%, but inflation is likely to be well over 5%, so real wages are not growing. The worker is going backwards. We'll throw into the mix this Reserve Bank Governor, Philip Lowe, and I don't know how many times he's got things wrong, especially on interest rates, but he's often expressed concern about public sector pay caps that entrench his view that low wage growth, now if I read his comments correctly, he seems to be saying that governments have an obligation to lift the wage cap for public sector workers, which would force the private sector to follow. Look out, the red lights are flashing. As I've said, in an ideal world, talking about not wanting anyone to go backwards is terrific. But in the past, Labor governments have fallen, been booted out of office as a result of their own initiatives. Remember Whitlam slashing tariffs by 25%. Remember Rudd and Gillard and boats and refugees and a carbon tax. The point is, Labor governments historically identify themselves with a policy position which eventually destroys them. Well, could it be wages policy? You're not going to be able to argue for a 5.1% increase to the lowly paid and pretend, as the new government would want, that you can limit it. This is danger territory for the Albanese government. Good luck, because the economy won't be able to cope. And if, as we're now being told, the economy is on the edge, spare us what might occur if there's a wage explosion. Look out, Prime Minister. In other times, it might have been okay. But today, your wages policy is threatening to throw fuel on an emerging economic fire. The Prime Minister's first message should be a simple one. 2 points. One, business, government and employers have to be fair. But the second point is even simpler. We're all going to have to tighten our belts. It's not the time to be whinging about how badly off we are.